Hi, and welcome to Untethered with Jenless, the podcast that's here to help you free yourself from the crap that's holding you back so you can claim the life you're meant to live. I'm your host, Jen, and in this episode, we're going to talk about embracing your inner weirdo. Let's dive in. Hi, friends, it's Jen. Oh my. I have had so much fun with this Untethered Practices series, and we're officially wrapping it up. And I hope you have enjoyed whether you listened to one episode, whether you listened to all of them, whether this is the very first time you've listened to this podcast. I recommend going back and giving some of these episodes a listen. So we dove into some practices that I myself have sampled or things that I regularly even do that have helped me in my personal untethering. Now, an untethering is releasing all of these things that aren't yours to hold. And so many of us live our lives based on the wants, the needs, the desires that were put upon us, that were expected of us, that we just assumed that we needed to live by. And our job throughout our lives is to slowly untether each one of those things, snip those little threads, and come back to the core of the human who you are. That's your job on this earth, is to slowly unravel down to your authentic truth. That's what I believe. What do you believe? This Untethered Practices series is an opportunity for me to share some of those things that have helped me to do that by being curious, by exploring, by trying new things, by being open, by allowing myself to get a little bit weird. And I'm a Midwest girl. I am from Wichita, Kansas, originally, now in Portland. And everything is so weird to me. I will still, even though I've done a lot of these things, I've tried a lot of these things, I've done a lot of weird things in my life because I'm curious and I'm open and I just like to. It's fun. At the same time, it's still really weird to me. So I call these practices untethered because they have helped me in so many ways to do this untethering. And so some of the things we've talked about are Reiki, tarot, acupuncture, breath work, EFT tapping, powerful one, meditation, and journaling. Much more accepted, normal. Many people do that. And hypnotherapy. So these are not all inclusive. There are so many other things. There's, of course, traditional talk therapy as well. There are so many things. A lot of these that I talked about are energy work because that's personally what really seems to work for me. I'm a breath worker. I'm a firm believer in energetics. I just know that for me, it is true and it works. And I'm a believer in holding your positive vibration, that there's negative vibrations, that we are made of energy. I mean, that's freaking science. We are made of energy. We are made of tiny little moving things. Like the atom at its very core. I mean, it's moving. Everything is moving. We are energy. And so it only makes sense to me that in order to heal ourselves, we have to work with our energy. Energy gets stuck. It's not moving. And we're supposed to be in a constant state of beautiful flow. So that's why there were so many things like Reiki and breathwork and acupuncture, because I'm so curious. I'm like, ooh, what's this one going to feel like? Oh, what's this one going to do? Oh, how is this one going to support me? Hypnotherapy. If you listen to that episode, and even if you've listened to other episodes, I've mentioned it a lot because it has had a deep impact on me. Hypnotherapy, I have gone back to in the womb, actually, with hypnotherapy. It can take you back to some deep stuff and in such a positive way for me in my personal experience. So thank you for coming along on this Untethered Practices journey. Thank you if you're just beginning your Untethered Practices journey and you desire to go back and listen to those episodes, because I had a lot of fun exploring them, sharing them, thinking about some of the ways in which each of them have impacted me. And the Reiki one was super fun because my husband and I tried Reiki for the first time right before we dove in to sharing about that episode. So much fun and really delighted in it. And as of next week, we're going to be jumping back into our usual cadence, which is on Tuesdays, we do an interview. Thursdays, we do the Thursday thread. It's a Thursday thread. If you desire to submit a jingle for the Thursday thread, we have had a submission and I can't wait for you to hear it next week. We have a submission, people, for the Thursday thread jingle. And it's fabulous. So just you wait for next Thursday, next Thursday's episode drop. You're going to get to hear this glorious jingle. And if you want to send one in, I would so welcome it. You can send it to me on social media. You can send it to me in my email. Links are in the show notes. Another thing I've been having so much fun with is dreaming up some extra special things that are going to be happening in the next cohort of my coaching program. So my coaching program is called Made for More, and it is inviting you into that next step for yourself, that more for yourself, inviting you to fully recognize that you are this beautiful, amazing, and perfect and glittery and magical being. And there might be something more for you. What is that more? And what I'm going to do in this program is to invite you in to meet yourself, to get to know yourself on this deep, deep level, to understand what is it that drives you? What is it at your core? So that when you go to step into that more, into that next thing, which we're going to do together, by the way, you know exactly what is true to you. You know your truth. You know that authentic truth. And so many of us don't. I didn't. Achievers, perfectionists, people pleasers, those of us who are living on the outsides of ourselves, outside of our body, outside, not in touch with our intuition. This program is for you. You're going to get into your intuition. You are going to understand how to listen to it, how to tap it together. We are going to work together to help you connect to it so that you know how to listen, so that you know how to step into your greatest joy, so that you know what your sparkly magic is and how you can use it to impact the world. It's going to be so much fun. So much fun. I've just been having so much fun dreaming up as well how we can bring some deep breath work. And I've also been having fun dreaming up how we can bring some deep breathwork journeys into this experience. It's going to be so good. So if you think this might be for you, you can go to jenless.com/made-for-more. And there you can fill out a little form, has a couple of questions. It'll help you understand, is this the right thing for me? Even as you fill them out, fill it out, submit it, and I'll contact you and we'll talk about it. Whether this might be the right next step for you, we can talk about the investment, all of those things. So head over there, check it out, and would love to hear from you and to talk about your unique situation, where you're at, and what more is out there for you. So speaking of weird, I've been thinking a lot about weird because of this Untethered Practices series that we've been doing. Like, why is it? Why is it that I think things are so weird? Why is that the word that I lean to? And I really never noticed that weird was a word that I used a lot until I moved to Oregon. And there's been times that I used it and people look at me like, that's an interesting word. It's not used as much here as it felt so normal to me. Or maybe it was just normal within my family, my group of friends in Kansas. I don't know. But here, people kind of look at me like, oh, weird. I mean, it seems maybe there's something about that word, a connotation that I don't know. And I fully welcome somebody to tell me if there's a reason I shouldn't be using that word. And at the same time, it feels just so normal to me to use it. But then I've been reflecting like, wow, why do I think things are so weird? And then I started thinking it's actually all of the things that I love best that I think are weird, like pineapple on pizza. Dude, I'm all about that. Bring it on. Joey the other day, he ordered a Hawaiian pizza and it not only had pineapple, it had pork belly on it. So that's a big thing here in Portland. Pork belly on everything, which I think is so funny. Like that's not a thing that we were regularly doing in the Midwest either, was putting pork belly on things. But anyway, that seemed weird. I was like, oh, that's weird, but it's also kind of awesome. And there's so many things like that, right? That are weird, but they're awesome. It's different. It wasn't in our scope before. And it makes me think, somebody said, I read this quote the other day that said, what made you weird as a kid makes you amazing as an adult. That thing that made you stand out, that thing that made you get so lit up, that thing that just really jazzed you and got you so excited, that thing makes you like so freaking awesome as an adult. But how often is that thing that made you weird as a kid that thing that you are suppressing? Think about that for yourself. What was that thing that made you different as a kid, that made you unique? And often it is that thing that really got you so excited. So when I was thinking about this for myself, something I loved to do as a kid, and okay, I grew up in the 80s, y'all. Do not blame my parents. Mom, if you're listening to this, not blaming you. It was the 80s. And actually, she was always yelling at me to put my seatbelt on. But I loved to take my seatbelt off and turn around in the car, like in the back seat. And I would hold the buckle. In the 80s, they were like these big honkin' buckles, like when you go on an airplane and it's like the big metal buckle. And I would use it like a microphone. And I would do the play-by-play of all of the cars around us. I'd be like, oh, here comes the red car zooming up behind us. Oh my gosh, it's going to pass us so quick. Oh, look at that guy. He's honking. Oh my gosh. And I would just do this, likely driving my family crazy. And at some point, somebody probably was like, sit down and put your damn seatbelt on, Jen. What are you doing? And then I started suppressing it. And that's nobody's fault for telling me I don't. Hypnotherapy has not taken me back to this moment, by the way. And something like that could cause a child to suppress that thing that was so delighting them, that was bringing them so much joy. And there was a clue there for me, right? I did not re-find this clue. I did not discover my voice. I did not discover this passion for sharing something that I'm really thrilled and excited about until I was in my late 30s, just a couple of years ago. This podcast, this thing that I love so much, this thing that you're listening to, this thing that's connecting us, that's allowing me to share these fun things, to give you the play-by-play, like that was a clue for me. I also had this talk show, the Jessie B show. Everybody have fun tonight because we're watching Jessie B tonight. How many times have I sung that theme song on this podcast? Just really giving it some airtime, That was another clue. But I stifled that down too. We tend to stifle these things that make us so fun and unique. I'm so curious. What was that thing for you? Ask yourself, what was that? What was that thing that I stopped doing that was so dang fun for me? Why did I stop doing it? We all do this. And when we get to adulthood, we get the opportunity to look back and rediscover that thing. Rediscover that little piece of weird that made us kind of different, that other people didn't do. Nobody else was turning around in their car and using the seatbelt to give the play-by-play of the cars that were going around us. Didn't even make sense. Like, who cares? Who cares? But I cared. And it was so much fun for me. I loved it. And I forgot how much I loved that. And you've probably forgotten some things too. But they're still there. They still light you up. And it was actually during a breathwork journey that I remembered that moment of myself as a kid on my little knees, turned around with that belt buckle and just having so much fun. Talking about the station wagon with the wood panel behind us. Probably jamming out to some Huey Lewis and the News in the car as we cruise down the street. So much fun. A little bit weird. It's not that weird. There's much weirder things, and I definitely did far weirder things than that as a kid. And when I look back at those things, there's these beautiful little clues in each of those little weirdo moments, each of those little things that lit little Jen up. What were the things that lit little you up? Because we need to be doing more and more and more of those things. That's the magic. That's your magic. Dip back into that little bag of magic. What is it for you? Because there's something just so unique and sparkly. And, it could be the same thing. Like, you could have a podcast. I could have a podcast. It's going to be two completely different podcasts. Because what lights you up about it, the way that you present something, is so different than the way that I would present something. It's so different. And there is my friends, if you are like, I just want to try and experiment with something and try to figure out what could be my next thing and what might it be, start a damn podcast. Start a podcast. That could be a whole episode. I always throw out there that things could be a whole episode that I never make an episode about, but maybe, down the road. But it's such a great way. It is such a beautiful way. And you can shift and you can change over time. I changed the name of this podcast. My mentor, she's got over 50 million downloads. Who knows? She has so many. Her podcast is huge. She's interviewed all the people. And she changed the name of her podcast twice last year. Somebody else, another marketing person who I know who has millions and millions of downloads, like 1,000 students in each of her classes. She changed the name of her podcast last week. Like, we don't have to have it all figured out. We just get to go back to the clues from our little inner weirdo and follow those clues. Do the things that lit that kid up. Lean into the things that are lighting you up. It's so important. It's so dang important. I could beat this dead horse all day. All day. It's like that weirdo is your unicorn, Like it's like Rudolph. What made him weird, and one of my coaching clients said this last week, it's so beautiful. Like, what made him weird is what made him great. That is the story of Rudolph. What makes you weird is what makes you have this special little sauce that you can add to the mix. Like, what is your little spice? Tonight, Joey and I had some spaghetti. I had made some sauce and chicken, and I made up this recipe. And mind you, I could change it next time because I made it up without putting much thought into it. I added red pepper flakes to mine. It was so good. He didn't want any red pepper flakes, right? But that little special extra pizzazz for me made it amazing. For him, it would have made it too spicy, not interested. And so important for us to remember this, that the things that get you super excited in this life are not the things that might get somebody else excited. And that's okay. That's differentiating. When someone thought you were a weirdo when you were a kid, when you did that thing, that just wasn't it wasn't their spice. They didn't want the red pepper. That's not what they wanted. That's not what they like. They're not into hula hooping or ribbon dancing or taking a towel and like putting it between your legs and doing that weird little like back and forth. You can't see my hands right now and what I'm doing, but you know what I'm talking about. Like weird little things that you did, like making people laugh, being funny, being silly. Maybe that's not what lights them up. It's not their sprinkle. That's not the sprinkle they want, but it's the sprinkle you want. You want more of that in your life. If you want more of that in your life and you're not getting it, maybe you're the one that's supposed to be creating it. Yeah? You're the one. You're the one with that weird little thing. Bring it. Bring more of it into the world. Suppressing it is not doing anyone any favors, especially you. Does it feel good to suppress that special little part of yourself that you've just been pressing down for decades? For decades, you've been ignoring it, wishing it away, pretending it's not there. When it comes up, you get irritated with it and push it away again. Maybe sometimes you delight in it and then you push it away again. You're talking about my life journey? Yes. Probably talking about your life journey too. We're all on our own unique, special journey, and you have to figure it out for yourself along the way. And I think that's been one of the most amazing lessons for myself, that nobody else can tell you exactly how to do it. Coaches are here as amazing guides to support us, your family, your friends, other mentors in your life, your boss, your supervisor. All of these people are here to help us and support us and to guide us. And you know best. And if you don't know best, there are people, raising my hand, who can help you to do that. There are people who specialize in helping you to do that. If you don't know, you're like, I actually don't know what weird thing makes me unique, Jen. I'm kind of tired of you talking about it because I don't know. That's okay. That's okay. And it might be the time in your journey for you to figure that out, for you to come back home to that inner weirdo, for you to go say hello, for you to do something that's going to help you reconnect in the way that I reconnected with that little girl who loved to hold the belt buckle and do the play-by-play. You know, maybe it's time. Maybe it's time to find a way back to that little girl, that little boy, that child. Maybe it's fluffy puppies. Maybe it's bunny rabbits. What is it? Maybe you're meant to raise bunny rabbits. The other day I feel like I'm meant to raise alpacas. This is a thing. And I'm slowly working on Joey about this alpaca thing. So it's someday it's coming, right, Joey? I took a picture the other day, a selfie with an alpaca at the alpaca farm. My friends were in town celebrating a 40th birthday. It was so much fun. I had the best time. We planned the biggest adventure and we went all over the place. We went to see tulips. We went to the ocean. We saw alpacas. We went to this haunted restaurant. It was, the whole thing was so much fun. Anyway, I take a selfie with an alpaca. I look at this picture and I'm like, you know how dog owners, it's like you say that the person looks like the dog. I look like this alpaca. I was like, it's meant to be. It is my destiny. But maybe there's something there for you, just the way that maybe you owned a rabbit and you just loved it so much. What might be there for you? There's just these things. Maybe you owned a lizard and people are like, what is this weird kid who has like the lizard fetish? What's going on with that? Maybe you're meant to do something. Maybe you're meant to make like lizard looking purses or something. Like lizard skin nails, not actual lizard skin on your nails, but like some kind of new texture, new thing. You know, what could it be? What might that thing be? And what clues are in your life? What little weirdo clues are in your life that could lead you to that next big thing? Thank you so much for listening to this episode. I had so much fun diving into our inner weirdos and what that little sparkly weirdo magic might be for each of us. If you enjoyed this episode, I encourage you to let me know. Share it on social media. Tag me. I will always reshare your posts if you share about an episode. I would also love to hear, what is the thing that like really lights your inner weirdo up that when you were a kid, you just loved to do? Reach out to me on social media. Share it. I would love, love, love to hear it. Thank you again so much for listening. I'll see you next time. You just keep shining your magic unicorn light out there for all to see. See you in the next episode.